morning in general, but especially for daylight savings time in spring, where you spring forward 1 hour. So you went to bed and all of a sudden you wake up and it's an hour later than you imagined. Okay, but thank you everyone for being present. It's our great fortune and blessing upon us to be able to serve in this way, although disqualified. I'm like a jiva in a cockroach body. So we're here to try to speak by your mercy and grace. And anything you'd like to say?
Hare Krishna.
Okay, so we'll start. We're going to chant the Mangalacharana prayers. And we have 6 verses today to read through. So we'll do that just one verse by one verse and speak as we go along. If anyone has any comments or questions, then we can be a little interactive and spontaneous this morning. We'll start with the Mangalacharana prayers and the invocation. Om Agana Timirandasya Gyananjana Shalakaya Chakshuru Militam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Mano Vishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Yadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Padakamalam Shri Guru Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunathan Vitam Tam Sajivam Sarvetam Savadutam Harijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padam Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakan Vitamsha Hare Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vancha Kalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhyeva cha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasati Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. All together. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Jai Srila Prabhupada ki Jai. Grantaraj Srimad Bhagavatam ki Jai. So before we begin, we would like to seek blessings from all the assembled Vaishnavas that you see fit to bestow your mercy upon us so that we can speak something relevant and bona fide from the pages of this most exalted scripture, the Grantaraj Srimad Bhagavatam. Only by the mercy of Vaishnavas is anything possible, so we are therefore seeking your blessings. And this beautiful Bhagavatam, we're now in the 10th canto, which is considered the lotus face of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So we're so honored and blessed to be speaking on this sections of the Bhagavatam. So please give us your blessings. Hare Krishna. So we have 6 verses today that we've been asked to cover. And so we're going to do that as I mentioned before. Just we'll go verse by verse. We'll speak a little bit on each verse and then move on to the next verse. If anyone has any comments or questions, then Although we are not going to be able to see you so easily, I guess you could just unmute and say Haribo, something like that. Okay, so before I begin, I just wanted to mention how wonderful it is. This section of the Bhagavatam, of course, Krishna explains in the Bhagavad Gita, and the second of the 4 seed verses, 10:9, Machchita Magata Pranabodhiyanta Parasparam, Katayantis Chamam Nicham Tu Shanti Cha Ramanti Cha. And Krishna says that my devotees, they find great satisfaction and bliss from constantly coming together and enlightening and inspiring one another with my pastimes. So here we are about to enter into or deeper into a wonderful and ecstatic pastime of Lord Krishna's from the 53rd chapter of the Srimad Bhagavatam in the 10th canto. And this chapter is entitled Krishna Kidnaps Rukmini. So we've had a lot of background and build up to this, and it's very exciting. So now we're into the chapter where Krishna will actually, without a spoiler, the title gives it away, he's going to kidnap Rukmini. So like that. And we'll be reading verses 1 to 6. So I'll read the Sanskrit and you can cite me. Shishuko vacha Vaidarbhya satu sandesham nishamya yadunandana pragriya panina panim prahasan idam abravit.
And English translation, Sukadev Goswami said, thus hearing the confidential message of Princess Vaidarbhi, Lord Yadunandana took the Brahmana's hand and smiling spoke to him as follows.
So there's no purport for this verse, but we just wanted to speak a little bit on each verse. And of course, then we'll read the purports when they come and speak. But for me, of course, we have Shukadev Goswami opening up. And you can imagine, I just, whenever I read Bhagavatam, I really like to enter into the space of what is actually occurring. So here you have Parikshit Maharaj, who's on the verge of death. We're in the 10th canto. So we must be entering into like the 5th or 6th day. He has 7 days to live. And he's just in and of course, we're halfway through the 10th canto. You can imagine he's just in so much ecstasy now, finally hearing about Krishna. And Shukadev Goswami is reciting, and he's saying that hearing the confidential message of Princess Vaidarbhi, because she is the daughter of the king of Vidarbha, and this is Rukmini Devi, and Lord Yadunandan, the son of Yadu, and took the Brahmana's hand. So Krishna is taking the Brahmana's hand. Again, it's such intimate. If you, like Prabhupada said, every word of the Bhagavatam is so powerful and potent. So Krishna took the Brahmana's hand, took his hand in his own hand with such affection and love. And then smiling, Krishna smiling, beautiful. He's not smiling so much in this picture, but we can see his described his jasmine pearl-like teeth. And he spoke to him as follows.
I thought it was interesting they established each other's what would you call it? Royal, not is it? Yes, she's the princess, Princess Vaidarbhi. He's Lord Yadunandan. It's not just cowherd boy Krishna, and this one's some
gopi.
Right. It's establishing they're on that equal level as such. They're both they're establishing not just meaning Krishna. I just thought it's interesting the use of those two terms.
Princess and Lord. So establishing their royalty.
Yeah.
Their majestic. Whoa. Okay, so verse 2. Shri Bhagavanu Vacha Tataham Api Tachchito Nidram Chana Labe Nishi Vedanam Rukmina Dveshan Mamodvaho Nivarita.
The Supreme Lord said, just as Rukmini's mind is fixed on me, my mind is fixed on her. I can't even sleep at night. I know that Rukmi, out of envy, has forbidden our marriage. So I thought this was interesting opening, that just as Rukmini is, if you want to look at it this way, in a romantic way, thinking of Krishna, oh, I just want to marry Krishna, I really like Krishna, and writes him a letter, a love letter, you could say, then Krishna receives it and he's saying, just as she's thinking of me, I also can't sleep at night thinking of her. And it's like, I don't know if you have this, I thought you did have it in this country, but very well-known books called Mills and Boon. Any Christian who hasn't heard of them, but they're very well known. Actually, side fact, if anyone's interested in these things, they're very well known novels, at least in England, written by Princess Diana's stepmom. But anyway, side point. But so it always has a hero thinking of the heroine and the heroine thinking of the hero, and then the hero's very chivalrous. And as we'll see, Krishna acts exactly in that way. And I don't want to give anything away, we're going to read it, but it just reminded me of setting of the scene like that. Like, this is a real original, sweet, romantic novel.
Yeah, of course, Krishna's leelas and pastimes are all the origin of everything that we have here in the material world. And it's really setting the scene, because you've got this, her mind is fixed on me, as you were saying, and Krishna, I can't even sleep at night. But then you can feel that chivalry coming in, because Krishna says, and that Rukmi. So he's establishing also the enemy, the destroyer of our loving relationship, the impediment, the obstacle. Yeah. Thank you. And he's envious. And we know, we've heard different discussions how important it is to be non-envious of Krishna in order to win his favor, to enter into his confidential pastimes. And here you have Rukmi, who is envious, and therefore he has forbidden our marriage. So he's, the scene is being set here nicely. Text 3. Tam anayishya unmatya rajanya pasadan ride matparam anavadyangim eraso nishikamiva.
She has dedicated herself exclusively to me, and her beauty is flawless. I will bring her here after thrashing those worthless kings in battle, just as one brings a blazing flame out of firewood. So here, just continuing with that point, that so the hero, not only is he reciprocating that romantic attachment, as it were, but then he's saying here, like, I just found it funny, he's going to thrash those kings, basically he's going to beat them up, basically. I don't know how you say it here, but anyway, so and basically, yeah, he'll be the hero, he'll be I'll protect you, I'm gonna sort out these men, these kings, and then I will pull you out of this fire, as it were. You'll be like the blazing flame, the word's completely gone, but like the prize, I don't know if the prize is the right word,
the trophy.
The trophy.
Can they see her and hear her?
Her.
Can they see Mataji and hear her?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, there we go. Okay. Yeah, when you put this sharing the screen, then they can't see the person who's speaking.
No, they can.
They can.
I'm sharing. They're not sharing.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay.
Then there's a purport.
Purport is, when latent fire is aroused in wood, the fire bursts forth, consuming the wood in the act of manifestation. Similarly, Lord Krishna boldly predicted that Rukmini would come forth to take his hand, and that in the process the wicked kings would be burned by the fire of Krishna's determination.
So I was thinking with this statement, because of course so many things, and for me anyway, and many devotees that I know also, when coming to Krishna consciousness, you hear like so many new ideas. I was sharing yesterday, as Ananda Bihari Prabhu was mentioning, in the Brooklyn temple, the talk was predominantly around Paramatma and Super Soul. and how that whole concept of the Paramatma and Super Soul just really wasn't so present for me. And the Christian upbringing, even with the idea of the Holy Ghost or the Holy Spirit, it wasn't really so clear. How does God, or how does he hear everyone? Well, because he's in everyone's heart. He's actually, and that idea was just like, wow, amazing. So for me, the first time that I heard that fire is already in the wood is like, what? I'm just like, that makes sense. But actually, then we start to understand that all the different elements are inside of, well, each of the different elements as they go along. Of course, earth is not there in ether, but from the subtle to the more gross, and because earth is the grossest manifestation or element, then all of the other elements are there inside of earth, and a tree is considered earth. So in that way, the fire is in there. So simply, it's not that you take fire and bring it to the wood, you bring out the element that is already in there. And it's I just think it's a magnificent concept and understanding. And here, of course, the disciples of Srila Prabhupada are using this analogy, this understanding to explain that, how Krishna is predicting that when Rukmini will come forth, and Rukmini will come forth, he'll take her hand, and in that process, the wicked kings are going to manifest like that fire, and they're going to be burned up and consumed by his determination. In the same way that fire is brought out of the wood, and then that wood is consumed by the ignition or the igniting, the manifestation of that fire. So really powerful understanding. And I guess, I don't know if anyone was a Boy Scout out there, but, we learned how to take a piece of wood and stick it into another piece of wood, and you just do like this, and you keep doing that, and that friction brings out the fire. You don't ever bring any fire to it. But of course, exalted Brahmins could bring fire, or Girl Scout. Thank you, Damodar. Yes, my apologies. Yes, any scouts, let's just say, bring that fire out. Of course, Brahmins could just chant mantras, and they would bring forth fire. We haven't quite got to that point myself. Okay, so text 4. Shishuka vacha Udvan harksham cha vigyaya Rukminya madhusudana Rata samyujatammashu Daruketaham sadatim.
Sukadeva Goswami said, Lord Madhusudan also understood the exact lunar time for Rukmini's wedding. Thus he told his driver Garuka, ready my chariot immediately.
So for me, this again, you have the mention of specifically lunar time, which, as we know, we are fixed. Our Vedic culture runs on the lunar cycle, which again was another confusing thing when I first came. It was like Janmashtami was on this date, and next year it was on a different date. And sometimes it's like a whole month difference because of Purushottam Mas, which comes every year and pushes everything back out. And it's like, it can be very confusing. But of course, traditionally, other calendars also follow the lunar cycle because it's much easier, in a sense, to follow that cycle that goes through the waxing and waning of the moon. And but what I was also picking up on here is that Krishna is understanding also that time is of the essence, and things need to happen promptly and quickly. So he's immediately instructed his driver Daruka, who is also famous Daruka, who was fanning Krishna and was overcome with ecstatic symptoms. And he didn't start to relish those symptoms of horripilation and tears coming in the eyes and shaking and hair standing on end, but instead he was praying, please take these symptoms away because it's interrupting my service to Krishna. So this mood of service, and we could see Daruka just ready to go, and immediately he'll come with the chariot.
It's interesting, the name change as well. Maybe the kill of the
Madhudima.
Madhudima, which Arjuna, why he's addressed like that in the Bhagavad Gita, because all the name changes in Bhagavad Gita also represent.
Significant, yeah.
So I thought it's interesting that when he's getting ready to go to get on his chariot to fight the kings, then he's referred to as in that name.
Madhusudana.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So that was interesting.
Okay. Text 5. Satashva Shabya Sugriva Mega Pushpa Balahakai Yuktam Ratam Upaniya Tastav Pranjaliragritaha.
Daruka brought the Lord's chariot yoked with the horses named Saibya, Sugriva, Megapushpa, and Balahaka. He then stood before Lord Krishna with joined palms. Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur quotes the following text of the Padma Purana, describing Lord Krishna's chariot horses.
Shaibyastu Shuka Patramba Shugriva Hema Pingala Mega Pushpastu Megabha Panduro Hi Balahaka.
Salvia was green like a parrot's wings, Sugriva yellow gold, Mega Pushpa the color of a cloud, and Balahaka was whitish.
So I don't know why, but this just stood out to me so much. And of course, we've read through the Bhagavatam at least a couple of times. And I just didn't remember that Krishna's chariot had these horses. And, you know, it's a little mundane, but it reminded me of my childhood watching The Wizard of Oz. I don't know if anyone here watched The Wizard of Oz. And when Dorothy and her companions first made it into Oz, then if you remember, they got on a chariot and it had a horse of a different color. That's what I think it was called, something like that. And every few minutes, the horse was changing color. But I was reminded here how Krishna is just so mystical. I mean, I don't know if anyone's seen a green horse, but, you know, green like a parrot's wings. Shuka Patrabaha, Shaibhyas tu Shuka Patrabaha. That he's green like a parrot's wings. So this is Shaibya. And then Sugriva is Hema Pingalaha. Hema means like gold, and yellow like gold. So then you have a yellow horse, which I don't think I've ever seen a yellow horse either. So you've got a green and a yellow horse. And then Mega Pushpa, the color of a cloud, because this word Mega is used to describe a cloud. And Krishna is sometimes also described as like that, Mega. So he's also the color of a dark monsoon cloud, blackish blue. And then Balahaka. So Balaha Pandudo, like Pandu was whitish. He was pale in complexion. So and Balahaka is whitish horse. So white and the color of a cloud, I guess, more like a grayish, blackish color. So like that. So just very interesting. And again, as we're hearing this, we can visualize so clearly these horses. Daruka's come with the chariot. He's put the horses in front of the chariot, and it's very beautiful. And just remembering these little details about Krishna can be the thing that saves us at the time of death. Just remembering Jamma Karma Chame Divyam Evam Yuvati Tatvataha. That Krishna says, one who knows the transcendental nature of my appearance and my activities in this world. You know, so yeah. So like that. So we'll move on to text number 6. Aruya Sandanam Sharir Dwijam Aropya Tornagai Anartad Ekaratrena Vidarban Agamadayai.
Lord Sori mounted his chariot and had the Brahmanas do likewise. Brahmana. Then the Lord's swift horses took them from the Anarta district to Vidarbha in a single night.
So this I wanted to look up because, of course, traveling on chariot is a little bit slower in general. We would understand than traveling in a car or traveling on a plane. But Krishna made it in a single night, and I did check this out. So actually, from Dwarka to Vidarbha is roughly about 932 miles. 932 miles, which would take roughly around 24 hours to drive there in a car. Of course, on a plane would be a little bit less. But yeah, so like that. So the fact that Krishna made it there in a single night, and they traveled through the night, and we can't really imagine how fast they must have been going. But also it was Krishna, Daruka, and the Brahmin messenger who Rukmini had sent, who are making their way to this scene, which will become overwhelming, powerful scene to behold and be present to, which we're all going to be present to in just in a few more verses. So like that. You had some.
Yeah, I was going to just point out that how Rukmini was so like determined to gain the shelter of Krishna. And also how I found it quite similar to Draupadi in the sense that when Draupadi was in the middle of assembly, the gambling match, she had there was Vidura there was Dhritarashtra, there was her 5 husbands, there were so many kings and princes, and Bhishma, but none of them saved her. None of them most of them couldn't save her, and none of them did save her. So she single-mindedly, determinedly, called out to Krishna. And I was thinking in the same way that with Rukmini, she's not any less not acquainted. No, there's connected. She's not any less connected. She could have got out of the situation she was in. I don't want to marry that guy, I don't want to do that. But she again seems to be in this situation where it's like, it's only you, Krishna, come and get me. And so she sincerely is determined to the point that we heard in the previous class. She was prepared to give up her body, basically. It was like, it's you or no one. And sometimes it can be like, I can speak for myself, it made me think, if I'm trying to sincerely pray and then what I want doesn't happen because Krishna doesn't always respond in that way. So then I might be like, all right, what's plan B? All right, who do I speak to? How can I can do a workaround here because Krishna's not really coming for me. But she's like, well, if you don't do it, I'm out of here. It's literally, I'm out of here. And I was also thinking how for her, like also just speak for myself, if I'm praying, am I really praying for Krishna's shelter, or am I praying for what Krishna's shelter can provide? The things that I want him to sort out, because that would be good for me, my peace of mind, what I need. Is it Krishna, or is it what you come with? What's attached to Krishna?
His opulence or his energy.
Yeah, and all the. Whereas with Rukmini, she just wants Krishna, and then she gets. What does she get? She gets the palaces. She gets all these sons, exalted sons. I mean, she's the first wife, the first queen of the Lord. All these different positions and stuff. But she just wants the Lord. And yes, I was just thinking. Yeah, a good test is that when you're I can't speak for myself, when I'm really praying, when I get what I want, I very quickly come out of that. I'm not saying I'm Draupadi or Rukmini in any way, okay, but just to use that point, Rukmini or Draupadi consciousness, very quickly get out of it. I don't remember. I don't think, oh, thanks, I'm so happy I got this. I'm so happy I achieved this thing. I'm so happy that this occurred for me. Definitely, I'm remembering Krishna more in that distressful mood than in the, life's going quite good. Oh, thank you, Krishna. So, unfortunately, think of him like that. So the point we were discussing yesterday, more like what Srila Prabhupada says, where you want the kingdom of God, but maybe not with God. Maybe not. So,
or that pastime with Duryodhana and Arjuna, and they came to meet Krishna, and Krishna said, you can have me or you can have my army. Which one do you want? Do we want Krishna, or do we want Krishna's opulences? Do we want Krishna, or do we want Krishna's energy?
Yeah, and just one point about just Rukmini, in terms of, she comes up a few times in the Pastime Krishna book. One particular is where Krishna's friend, Sudama, Vipra, goes to see him, the poor Brahmana, and he doesn't have anything to give his friend except for the chipped rice. He's embarrassed and on. And Krishna kind of gets out of him, like, what'd you bring me? It's like, oh God, oh, here. And then Krishna's happily eating and not making him feel awkward in any way. And then Rukmini's there in that pastime, and then it said that she sort of says, that's enough. That's it, depending on also what, I mean, I have a different classes, but as Prabhupada explains, she says, that's okay, that's enough, Krishna, The point being, he's already, as the goddess of fortune, but Mimi as the goddess of fortune, she's already benefacted. She's already benedicted Sudama, just for the fact that Krishna took whatever grains he took, and he was satisfied. And so because you've pleased Krishna, don't worry about it. You can stop eating Krishna now, stop eating that rice. And your friend is already benedicted beyond his wildest dreams, as he was when he went home. Even his wife was revitalized. That's quite a good benediction. So I was just saying, Mini does come up in other places. She also comes up, but that her magnanimous nature, as it were, as well, that she's happy to give blessings and mercy in connection to Krishna, pleasing Krishna, then she's happy to give you all that mercy.
Yeah, it's an interesting perspective on the pastime, because we also hear that Rukmini tries to stop Krishna from eating the chipped rice, because she's feeling like, oh my God, how could Krishna just eat some chipped rice? But Krishna is relishing this chipped rice, because patram pushpam phalam toyam yome bhakti bhyachati, that as long as it's offered with love. And of course he came, in one sense, Sudama came to ask for something. He didn't want to come to ask for something, but he's encouraged by his wife to do so. But so in that sense, Rukmini was trying to take it away. But at the same time, I really appreciate this perspective that, she knew that just by offering a little something to Krishna, the benediction that comes is phenomenal. And we were discussing the other day, because it was the opening of the Nishringa Dev wing is kind of happening now, and there's a devotee here, and we were discussing about Ambarish Prabhu, and what he's done to manifest the Temple of the Vedic Planetarium. On the order of Srila Prabhupada to build this temple, he's basically spent his whole life trying to do that. And just what Krishna must be doing for him in the spiritual world, but to speak of his entire family like that. So so anyway, back to this pastime. Krishna is setting the example and playing the part of the perfect chivalrous hero, and Rukmini playing the part of the perfect heroine in distress. And they're Krishna is about to unleash fury on Rukmini and his assembly, and in the most dramatic way captivate the heart of Rukmini and steal her out from I think Shishupal, and like that. It's just an amazing pastime that's unfolding here, and we've all got front row seats And that's so amazing. We're just able to sit by the mercy of Srila Prabhupada and his disciples. The previous acharyas, we're hearing commentary from Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur. We're able to sit in the assembly of Vaishnavas and Sadhus and hear the pastimes of Lord Krishna firsthand. And as we said in the beginning, Machchita Magata Prana Bodhiyanta Prasvam, that we're able to churn this. So now we'd like to open up. I don't know, some comments came, but we couldn't see them also. If anyone has any reflections, questions, chastisements, then we request, please, if you could share those. We have some time left. Yeah.
Thank you, Bhakti. We have a live speaker. Is that right? There he is.
We have a live speaker. He's a live wire.
Hare Krishna, can you hear me okay?
Yes, Prabhu.
Yeah. There's a passage, Mahajanayena Katasapanta, that we're meant to follow in the footsteps of the great souls. So when we hear the different things that happen in these classes and these stories, we're thinking, well, how does this apply to our life? And I was thinking about this pastime where Rukmini, she said, Lord, come and get me. Come and get me. If you don't come and get me, I'm going to be swept away into the control of this other party. And it's true for us also. And she sent him a message, so I feel like, well, I should send a message to Krishna, Krishna, come and get me. Because if you don't come and get me, I know I'll be swept away by my mind and senses and all the allurements and distractions in the material world. So I'm trying to compose that message and express it with intense feeling, that for sure, you see a little child reaching up like this, and because he's reaching, then the mother will come and take the child up, So we can't get up by ourselves. But we're in a precarious position and there's other forces at play. And for sure, Prabhupada is bringing that. We offer the message to our spiritual master. Without him, we don't have access to Krishna. And certainly Prabhupada will say, help this guy. This is somebody who's appealing to you, Lord. So we hope I'm sure Krishna will reciprocate with that. I'm going to actually write a letter.
Harilo. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna.
Who is your Brahmana messenger, Adipusha Prabhu? Is that Srila Prabhupada?
Yes. But
Okay.
we can all do that. We can all understand what she did, and we can follow in her footsteps, and we can follow that example and understand our situation, and then cry out. Right? Why not? Isn't it something for all of us?
Thank you. Kshatriya Princess Adipusha Prabhu.
What did he think?
It's a Princess Kshatriya Adipusha. Whatever.
Okay, dear devotees, any
Good.
questions, reflections?
Damodar Priya.
Hare Krishna, thank you so much for today's class. As always, I love being able to see a Grahasta couple giving class together. It's very inspiring. I had a question and a reflection. This whole class made me think that I want to, and I put it in the chat for anybody else who wants to, it makes me want to listen again to Rukmini Devi Dasi's Prabhu's initiation by Srila Prabhupada in Montreal, which is this really great lecture. And I remember her saying that was one of the first times that she remembers him starting to share about the Rukmini pastimes. So it's a really great lecture to listen to. So I put the link in the chat. But my question is about Kshatriya and protection. And I was wondering, how can we differentiate between material protection and spiritual protection? like what's the balance in terms of like what we rely on in terms of material protection and spiritual protection regarding like protection from the Lord, and how do we understand it? I don't know if my question makes any sense or not.
Maybe I could try to reflect back and you can confirm if we've understood you correctly. It sounds like your question specifically around Kshatriyas. Kshatriyas are meant to protect, but how does that look for a devotee? Do they seek quote unquote material protection in terms of maybe house, shelter, finance, partner, spouse, something like that? Or do we just depend on Krishna and the spiritual aspect? There's a little pastime that comes to me, a story. I think it's kind of a Christian parable of a man who was drowning, and he was praying. You knew that was coming, right? He was praying for the Lord to help him. And the boat came with some people from to try to help him. He said, no, I'm praying, waiting for the Lord to come and save me. And then the helicopter came and dropped the ladder down, and the guys came and they were trying. And he said, no, I'm waiting to the Lord. And then he died, and he went to, he met with God, and he said, my dear Lord, what happened? I was praying for you to save me. He said, geez, I sent a boat, I sent a helicopter. What more do you need? So sometimes we have to see that the Lord is, we're in material bodies in the material world, quote unquote, but we're spirit souls. So Krishna is trying to reciprocate with us. He says that what is it? Tesham sarata yuktanam bhajatam paripurvikam dadami buddhi yogam tam yenam amupayantate. He says that he gives the intelligence to those who are devoted to him. He gives the intelligence by which they can come to him. So we have to be intelligent enough to see that we do need these things, and other devotees need these things. And as long as we're depending on Krishna, Rukmini was ready to give up her life if someone didn't come and save her, and from this having to marry this despicable person. So you could say it's all mundane. Someone who doesn't have Krishna consciousness could look at this and just see it's a mundane story. But we don't see it like that at all. We just see Krishna and Krishna's dear devotees, and we see the love and the devotion. But at the same time, Krishna is still going to show up, and he's going to whoop some butt, and he's going to steal her away, steal this woman away on his chariot. So all of these things, we just have to remember that it's not divinity is our consciousness and seeing Krishna. So we just see Krishna behind everything. I think Bhima also has his hand raised. I don't know if that was an okay answer, dear mother.
That was perfect. Thank you so much. And I love that joke. That's one of my favorites.
Yes, great. Bhima Prabhu, Hare Krishna.
Haribol Prabhu. I concur with Damodar Priya. It's wonderful to see a Vaishnav couple speaking synergistically together, and it is very inspiring. It's actually a wonder to me how so I just wanted to thank you for that. I hope we have you back again. I just wanted to say that over my 40 years bumbling about in the movement, I have come to understand that the protection of Krishna sometimes comes in placing us, that actual protection of Krishna, that shelter actually comes in the form of stripping away that shelter which we think we need. Literally blowing the roof off of your life if you have come to depend upon a roof that you have built yourself. That Krishna has his plans, and mysteriously they often don't coincide with our plans, even though we may think them in line. And I think that for me, and you can elaborate on this, I feel like the protection that Krishna gives is not that he protects us from death, but that he protects us from forgetting him when we come to die.
Okay, darshan time.
Bhagavatam samasitam Buddha-sundaratam Govindam Adipur Govindam Adipurusham Bhajami Govindam Adipurusham Tamam Bhajami Ananiyasya Sakalam Kriya Priti Manti Shasyanti Panti Kalyanti Chiram Jaganti Anandakshi Maya Sadhu Vigrahasya Govindam Haripurusham Tamam Bhajami Govindam Haripurusham Tamam Bhajami Govindam Haripurusham Tamam Bhajami Govindam Haripurusham Bhajami Govindam Govindam Haripurusham. Yeah, spiritual master, the only way by which we can obtain pure devotional service. I bow down to those who great awe and reverence. By His grace, one can cross the ocean of material suffering. Pay the mercy of Krishna. My only wish is to have my consciousness purified by the words emanating from His lotus mouth. Attachment to His lotus feet is the perfection that fulfills all desires. He opens my darkened eyes and fills my heart with transcendental knowledge. He is my Lord, earth after earth. From an ecstatic frame that emanates, body of ignorance is destroyed. The Vedic scriptures sing His character. Our spiritual master is ocean of mercy, friend of the poor and Lord master of Bhakti. O Master, be merciful unto us. Give us the shade of your living feet. May your fame be spread all over the three worlds. We take shelter at your lotus feet. Srila Prabhupada ki jai.
Jai, that was the class. Thank you, dear devotees. I didn't realize today was the daylight saving time. I had no idea. But by Krishna's grace, Krishna gave me an iPhone and it all happened automatically. And I woke up, I was like, why is this so hard? But yeah, somehow or other I made it. And so did you, which is wonderful. Thank you, Damodar Priya. Wonderful question. Wonderful question. Srimad Bhagavatam is intelligent questions and intelligent answers. Thank you for that. So with this, we're going to wrap up. Wish you a wonderful, fulfilling Sunday. Give it to Krishna. Go to the temple, chant and dance and feast. And always talk. What was the word? What was the word? Talking to your Vaishnava couple, talking concurrently, or in agreement. What was the word that
Synergistically?
Synergistically, yes. Yeah. Always speak synergistically to your family, to your friends. Speak in synergy with Krishna and Prabhupada, and you'll be kidnapped, just like Rukmini Devi. Yeah, it's a wonderful prayer. Krishna, please come and get me. I'm a mess, but I'm reaching out to you. Come and get me. Wow. Okay. Srimad Bhagavatam, the king of books, Ki Jai. Bhakta Bill, Ki Jai. Welcome back, Prabhu. Thank you. See you tomorrow. Don't go away. You are kidnapped. You are officially kidnapped now. Sundar Nandaji, good to see you. Good to see your hair. When your hair is down, what does it mean? Does it mean it's a weekend?
Having a bad hair day.
Okay. All right. When the hair is up, that's a sign of victory and excitement about bhakti, right? Okay. Hare Krishna. Nice seeing everyone. Hare Krishna. Gautam Ghosh is joining now, India. Let me say hi to Gautam Ghosh.
It's probably the daylight savings that threw him off, and he thinks the class is starting now.
Yeah. Let me see. Come on, Gautam Ghosh. Turn on the audio. You can hear us. Would anyone like to say something uplifting while we're waiting for Gautam Ghosh?
I have a new kids song that we wrote.
Oh, Sunday.
Do you want to hear it? It's about Lord Chaitanya. You could stop live streaming if you want, and then I'll do it for the people that are here. But so it goes to the rhythm of Old MacDonald had a farm. So, but it's very transcendental. I promise. Look, it's very cute. I did it for the kids yesterday. I did Krishna Kids yesterday. It goes, Lord Chaitanya's in the forest, Hari Hari Bo. And in the forest he met a deer, Hari Hari Bo. And he sang Hare Krishna here, and the deer sang Hare Krishna there, and they both sang Hare Krishna everywhere. Lord Chaitanya's in the forest, Hari Hari Bo. And then it goes on to all the different animals that he meets. I won't put you through the whole thing, but now you've heard it.
Thank you. Here's the biggest kid. He was rushing to the camera. Bhima Prabhu on the farm. Bhima Prabhu on the farm.
Hari Hari Bo. Of all songs to get stuck in my head for the rest of the day, she did it. It's in there.
Yeah. On the farm. Nice. Thank you, Damodar. Okay, Gautam Ghosh. Hare Krishna. Good morning. You're only 1 hour late, Prabhu. You're late. The class is over. You have to change your clock. It's daylight saving time. Okay? Come 1 hour early tomorrow. But we love you. We missed your association. Thanks for being here. Okay, Hare Krishna. Goodbye. Lord Chaitanya on the farm. Hare Krishna.